Okay, what we're going to look at day 12 is the government we set up after we won the Revolutionary War, the problems with it, and what led to the nation that we have today. So many people know that the U.S. Constitution that was signed in 1787 and then replaced when we ratified the 10 Amendments in 1789 is not the first Constitution of our country. The first Constitution was the Articles of Confederation. And it was basically an agreement between the 13 states where they were 13 loose states that were just bound by the Confederacy. And it was a confederation. So it had a lot of problems. The first problem was Congress could not tax people. Congress could not regulate foreign and interstate commerce. The executive branch couldn't enforce any, or didn't even have an executive branch to enforce laws, and there was no national court system. And almost every state had its own militia, and there was no national army. So if Virginia got into a war with England, the other states may come to their aid, or excuse me, or may not. So they had a real problem raising money and sustaining a government and sustaining a national bank and funding a country. So in upper western Massachusetts, there was a place, and it was called the Shays Rebellion, and this is where people rose up to oppose the debt crisis, and they had to try to collect taxes on the individual and their trade. So basically a fight broke out. So all the leaders of our country, our founding fathers, came together and knew that they had to come up with a new constitution. But there were two things that stuck. When they set up a Congress, some states wanted equal representation. Everybody had two people to represent them. Though the big states said that's not fair because we should have more power because we have more citizens. So they came up with what was called the Connecticut Compromise, or the Great Compromise, that set up the Congress like we know it today, with the House of Representatives based on population and the Senate equal representation for everybody, and they have to agree on the same bill for it to be passed to go to the president to sign. They also wanted some system of checks and balances that we talked about when we talked about ancient Rome, and you did on your quiz as one of your short answers. Remember, checks and balances is just a system of checks where no branch can get more powerful than the other branch, and their power is balanced. As you can see here, the president can veto legislation. Congress makes the laws and allocate funds. President can appoint judges. The judges can rule on executive orders. Congress confirms a judicial appointment. The Supreme Court rules on legislation. The House can impeach the president. The Senate is the jury. The president works closely with the Supreme Court to get things passed, and if it's not constitutional, they'll rule against him. Remember, there are a lot of things. Here's some more things. The legislative branch consists of the House of Representatives, the Senate. They can veto each other's bills, and they can override the president's veto. The president appoints and nominates the judges. The judges can declare his executive order unconstitutional. So just remember that checks and balances is a system that's put in place where no branch of our government can become more powerful than the others, and if they try to, they can be impeached or they can be removed from office. Or if we don't like the job they're doing, we can simply vote them out the very next time. So those are day 12 terms. If you have any questions, remember you can email me. If you need help with anything, email me or just put a message on Google Classroom, and I'll talk to you tomorrow with day 13.